Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Ferrier with CafeMom, and today I'm here in the Rockaways. This is just one part of New York that was devastated by Hurricane Sandy. In fact, at this apartment building, the water actually went up above this garage door. Up there on the second floor, in that window, was a single mom with 2 kids wondering what on earth she was going to do. She had no idea that another mom would come along and change her life.
For Kizzy Parker, things have never been easy. But when floodwaters from Hurricane Sandy reached her second-story window, the single mother of 2 wasn't sure her family would make it.
I was scared, I was lonely, I didn't have no one to call, like no one to help me.
When the waters finally receded, local volunteers like Lenny Callis rushed in to help. Kizzy's Rockaway neighborhood was unrecognizable.
All the cars were flooded. The first floors and some second floors of most homes were completely devastated. There was debris everywhere. The beach had completely come up onto miles up into the streets.
Thousands of Rockaway residents desperately needed help, but they quickly learned that help would be hard to come by.
There were these sort of like very small relief organizations and then just the population kind of wandering around looking for aid.
As the weather got colder and the days stretched into weeks, Kizzy Parker hunkered down in her flooded apartment and tried her best to survive.
We didn't have any lights, we didn't have no heat, no hot water. When my food and stuff started to spoil and I didn't know where I was gonna get anything to eat for my kids from, it was like worrying, like what am I going to do now?
That's where Lenny found Kizzy 1 month later. She was directed there by a relief worker. Lenny knew Kizzy and her kids needed help, but she wasn't prepared for what she found.
All the power was cut out, and then the mold over a month started growing up the walls inside the structures of the houses. They were in the darkness. Their fridge didn't work. They were sort of hanging like flashlights all over their house to light their little one area that they were living out of, because they had shut everything else off to keep them warm, and they were heating their apartment with their stove.
And even though Lenny had never met Kizzy before, she couldn't leave this fellow mom behind.
So she was not going to allow us to go back in that, house like that. So she took us to her home, where we've been for the last 3 weeks.
When you're looking at a family with a 1-year-old, and you're faced with the decision of 2 things, either sending them back to what you just pulled them out of, or bringing them somewhere where you know is going to be better for them. What choice do you really have?
I didn't know they still had that, people that help you like that and have a good heart and is willing to take you into their home, until I found Miss Lenny Callis. And oh man, I would never forget her.
In the 3 weeks since she met Kizzy, Lenny has helped her get relocation money from her landlord and a small apartment for herself and her kids. Today, Lenny says Kizzy is one of the lucky ones.
There are thousands of people who are living in moldy homes, still without power, still without heat.
Surprisingly, little has changed here since Sandy swept through nearly 2 months ago. Debris still litters the streets, stores are still closed, and food is in short supply. Power in many places is still out, and people are still living here simply because they have no other place to go. Volunteers at this neighborhood Occupy Sandy office say they're disappointed that more help hasn't been offered.
I think we all expected, or at least I did, for, the Knights to come in, ride in and save the day, and, time after time we've seen that they aren't.
As time passes, volunteers, supplies, and money are dwindling, even as the problems here continue to mount.
We need hands and feet, people coming out here. We need money to be able to make this a sustainable effort, and we need the supplies to do it in a healthy and responsible way.
Obviously, it's going to take years for this area to completely recover, and with the number of volunteers dwindling and government resources limited, they're going to need all the outside help they can get.
Find out how you can help residents of the Rockaways and other areas in need by visiting OccupySandy.com.
For CafeMom, I'm Lindsay Ferrier.